សមាជិកគណៈបក្សសង្គ្រោះជាតិប្រាជ្ញាប្រធានសាមគ្គីក្រុមនានាសង្គ្រោះបម្រើការពារកម្ពុជាខ្មែរព្រមគ្រប់គ្នាទាមទារសិទ្ធិសេរីឯករាជ្យបូរណភាពអធិបតេយ្យខ្មែរប្រុសស្រីបដូរផ្ដាច់ថែរក្សាមិនឲ្យបរទិញឈ្លានពានមកត្រួតត្រាសម្បត្តិដូនតាធនធានជាតិខ្មែរ
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our show. Welcome to Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. Our show is part of the CNRP America live show. My name is Linda Wu. I am live from Los Angeles, California. Today is February the 16th, 2021. Our topic for today, for our discussion is youth around the world is in solidarity with Myanmar youth. Before I start, I would like your support on change.org. Ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Please help to sign the petitions. Together we hold Hun Sen responsible for continuing to kill and hurt Cambodian. Until now, Hun Sen has never found any perpetrator responsible for any of the barbaric acts. Hundreds of victims have never received any justice. Together we say ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Please help to support our petitions at change.org. Please watch a short video clip of Her Excellency Musakur describing in detail of ending impunity for justice in Cambodia.
តើយុត្តិធម៌ឬនីតិភាព
Between 1975 and 1979, the green rice fields of Cambodia became the killing fields of Cambodia. Over 2 million lives were lost, including the lives of my own parents and many of my relatives. The Khmer Rouge wanted a society that is equal according to them. We still live and we are haunted with the legacy of the Khmer Rouge, which is the culture of impunity that continues to exist in Cambodia today. It is for this reason that we have started a campaign, worldwide campaign, a campaign to end impunity in Cambodia by seeking justice for cases, for the executions, for the killings that are organized, that are backed by the state. Among those cases of state-backed killings are the killings of Chivichir, the very famous trade union leader, Bisep Pilaka, a ballet dancer, of Kemley, an independent analyst, of Chutvuti, a well-known environmentalist, of Venerable Sonthara, who was advocating for the monks to have the right to vote, including workers who demanded fair wages. The campaign will also advocate for governments that are members of the United Nations to put pressure on the government of Cambodia to conduct independent investigations by using universal tools such as the UN Protocol for Independent Investigation. The campaign will also advocate for governments that believe and want to protect universal human rights to impose sanctions on the leaders of the government of Cambodia who are implicated in these state-backed extrajudicial killings. We ask you to be with us, to support us, to be part of a campaign to end the culture of impunity in Cambodia and to find justice for those who have been waiting for justice for their loved ones killed by the state. There cannot be real peace unless there is justice. There cannot be justice unless there is independent investigation. And then take those cases to an independent justice system. Join us by signing on this petition. Thank you.
យើងរួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា
Please support our petitions ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. I just checked a minute ago. We have a little bit over 57,000 signatures. We need at least 500,000 signatures. So your support is really important. Please help to sign the petition, share the petitions, and if anybody need help, please let me know or please let one of our guests know, and they will more than happy to help. Please support our petitions, ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Thank you. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us today. I have three guests today. I'm going to introduce them one at a time and let them tell our viewer a little bit about themselves. My first guest, her name is Bossiba Thit. She is the CNRPA youth supporter. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
So I'm from Lexington, North Carolina, and I'm 16 years old. I love to paint in my free time. I enjoy making my own music and also just staying up to date with what's happening around the world.
Thank you. My second guest, his name is Sonthara. He is the CNRPA supporter in Long Beach. Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
Good, I'm fine, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Sonthara. I'm living in Long Beach, California, and United States, man.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight. My next guest, his name is Sammady. He is the youth president in Los Angeles, California. Sammady, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and you?
Good, thank you. Sammady, you've been here so many times. Can you introduce yourself? Tell the audience something that they don't know about you.
Well, my name is Sammady, and I am currently a college student. And I just feel like Cambodia is in need of change. So I believe this is a small act of change by informing our audience of the current situations in Cambodia politics.
Thank you, Sammady, for being here. Let me add all my guests back on. Welcome back, all the guests. Thank you for being here tonight. Like Sammady said, Cambodia needs change, and your help you being here is helping to basically make that change happen. So thank you so much for being here today. Our topic for today is youth around the world is in solidarity with Myanmar youth. So I guess we can say we stand with the people of Myanmar. Thank you. Let me read a little bit of what's going on. I know some of our audience might not be aware of what's going on. all our guests are aware that the people have taken to the street across Myanmar for the last 16 days to protest against military that took power in a coup. Protesters across the country have grown, each day have grown steadily. The Myanmar military, basically the Myanmar military overthrow the country democratic elected government, basically arrested civilian leader, including state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint, and imposed an intermittent nationwide shutdown on the internet and across the social media. The military has imposed restrictions such as curfews and limited to gathering. Basically, you only allowed to gather for only 5 people. So basically your family member. So for the last, I believe for the last 2 weeks, protesters such as teacher, lawyer, student, officer, the governor, people working in the government, I believe medical workers, so everybody, including monks, is taking to the street to protest. Protest against the coup that's happened since February 1st. What happened was the military arrested Aung San Suu Kyi. Do we know that name? Do anybody know that name? Sammady, would you like to? I'm gonna send you out a little bit older. You should know who is Aung San Suu Kyi is. Can you help to basically let the audience basically tell us her life a little bit? Who is she? Why is she important regarding the Myanmar current situation right now?
Well, Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi is a beacon of hope. She is the leader of National League for Democracy in Myanmar. And she has worked courageously for human rights and democracy in her country. And as you can see, her history, because her opposition in Myanmar ruling military, she was held under house arrest in 1999 to 1995 and severely restricted under house arrest until 2010. And then she went out of the arrest and got elected as the ruler of Myanmar. As of now, the military just have a coup on the government that has the support of hundreds of thousands, millions of Myanmar people. So she is fearless and courageous. That's who Aung San Suu Kyi is. She is the beacon of hope for true, genuine democracy.
I'm trying to find actually a picture of her. I thought I have them, but here it is. Here's the painting. Here is the protester that holding, basically releasing their leader. They asking, basically asking, they walking the street and asking for release their, he or she. Basically, she is being detained right now since February 1st by the military. And let me show, this is protest by the monk. It's very inspirations to see Myanmar citizen, basically everyone that in the in Myanmar out and protest right now. And here's the 3-finger salute. Said it loud and clear. We don't want dictatorship. Let me read a little bit on Myanmar. How come? Why are people protesting? Like Sammady said, for 50 years, from 1962 to 2011, the military was the most powerful institutions in the country. The army has control of the government, basically economy, and every facet of life. the military regime ruled Myanmar, also the country known as Burma, with the iron fist, basically asserting their abusive power over the people through fear and brutality. But 6 years ago, there was hope of change when Aung San Suu Kyi, Nobel Peace Prize winner and former political prisoner, she formed the first civilian government, which her National League of Democracy Party, which stands for for short is DLP. So she won a landslide victory. So since then, there are another second elections in November of 2020. She also won over 80, I think 80%, believe it's 83% of the winning. So since on February 1st, they were supposed to, I believe, have a swearing ceremony with the government, but the military pulled a coup, and since the February 1st, she was with her member of her party was arrested. Let me ask Mr. Sonthara, do you have anything to add to the history or anything to add to the situations in Myanmar?
As far as I know, Aung San Suu Kyi, let me make a shortcut. Since he's came back to the Myanmar in 1986, she led the people demonstrate against the government controlled by the Myanmar forces, and since then she got arrested and put in jail until the 1991. She got a Nobel Prize for Peace, and after that, in 1915, she created her own group called National League for Democracy, and her party win the landslide of elections, and again in 2020, her party wins again, but more than the 2015. So the army party, not they don't agree with that, the result. So they try to try to no, to put her in the to try to make her in fall by accused her, have some kind of devices in her home, and about the election fraud, and arrested her and her leadership, put in jail. Since then, people, office worker, monk, student came to the street to show that they don't like what the army do, like a coup d'etat. That's it. A bit short.
Thank you. Let me see. Since the first, there have been reports of excessive force by the police and military against the demonstrator, as well as basically they got arrested for voicing their basically protesting, peaceful protest. The military justified their takeover by alleging widespread widespread voter fraud during the November 2020 general elections, which during the elections gave Aung San Suu Kyi party another overwhelming victory, and basically a hope for military is no longer basically give hope for the second time to the country that been held by the military. A lot of people said that the power, basically the military taking power because the military is losing control and basically losing control and the respect with its people during the second elections. So they basically want to hold power back. Throughout this protest, we seen a lot of people basically saluting, basically using the three finger symbol. Since Sammady is pretty young, I'm gonna ask Sammady. Sammady, what does the finger stand for?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So basically the three fingers originated from an American film called The Hunger Games. And the main theme in the film is hope. Hope is defined as a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. And in the story, the children are set up to die, and they have no choice but to fight. So therefore, they only have hope in making it out alive, and that is the only thing given by the capital. In this case, we see that the symbol has been adopted by Asian countries such as Thailand and now Myanmar to protest against authoritarian ruler. So this is a symbol of hope. To keep fighting. This is like a symbol. And this means that Myanmar people stop living in fear of the authoritarian leaders because right now they just have a coup on the country. And then they start living hope that they intend to have high hopes, everything would be better. So the three fingers like a resistance is a symbol of resistance and hope in Myanmar and in Thailand. It is an iconic resistance symbol.
Thank you, Sammady. Sen Bossiba, you're pretty young. You watched the Hunger Game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can
Multiple times.
so what does it stand for in the Hunger Game? I know somebody touched base. Let me hear your voice. What does it stand for in the Hunger Game?
I think in the Hunger Games, it can also mean like union against the like dystopian government or like the people who are oppressing them. I think it all can bring the people who are fighting for the union, it can bring them together.
Thank you, Mr. Sonthara. Do you have anything to add regarding the three finger?
No.
Okay, let me put on the definition. This is what I found from. This is what I found. So, number one, release Aung San Suu Kyi and all political prisoner. Number two, call for the parliament. And number three, hold dialogue.
That's a great statement. They had
Can you hear me okay?
their own signs.
Yeah, but it stands for the same thing. Stand for democracy, and stand for resistance. What democracy and resistance to basically to military coup. In Thailand, is it in Hong Kong as well? And also now it's in Myanmar. So that's the three finger salute. Let me put it again so that way our audience can understand. Well, thank you, our guests, for explanations on the sign that we keep seeing for the last year and this year as well. So basically, we stand with the people of Myanmar. That's what it stands for.
And
Um,
uh, and recently, I saw the statement by the embassies to Myanmar. They call on security forces to restrain uh, violence against the demonstrators and civilians who are protecting the overthrow of the legitimate government. And at the end of the message, they said that the world is watching Myanmar. So the people of the Myanmar now are not alone at all. Hello? That's it. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I'm
Oh, okay.
I'm just having I'm just having a lot of technical difficulty with the background noise.
Oh,
You
what's
guys
that?
here? Can you hear me? Okay.
It's still
Yes.
bad. Yes, still can hear you. Something losing.
The United Nations have issued many statements regarding the military coup in Myanmar. The only country, I mean, the two countries that actually um, believe that it's an internal affair is China and Russia. So they in affair, and I can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. I'm thinking it's my internet that having it issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the only two country that I mean so far I believe that I saw was China and Russia that issue a statement that it is Myanmar internal issue and they shouldn't get involved. I know it's off topic, but do we have any insight to why would China say that or why would Russia say that?
Well, I believe, first of all, China is the benefactor to Myanmar because 60% of the incomes on Myanmar, which is agricultural, go to China. So they basically best friend. Of course, we're gonna support one another. And they both, as of now, they both a dictatorship country. So there's no surprise when China agree with Myanmar actions, and they don't want the UN to step in.
I'm also thinking that China sell a lot of the military equipment to Myanmar, so that is directly impacting China pocket.
Mhm.
And and plus, Myanmar has a long, no, has a long history to get deal with China too. And plus, China is a middleman to buy all the natural resources from Myanmar too, to sell to the U.S. That's why.
Yeah, so the country that benefit most from this military coup is expressing that it's actually internal affair, and the
Yeah.
country like Cambodia, who's also expressed it's an internal affair because Cambodia doesn't want anybody to be involved in Cambodia internal affair. So might as well express that statement that Myanmar situation is their internal affair.
Yeah. And the last 2 decades, um, Myanmar, you know, cut all the tree and sell to China too, until the Myanmar, some part of Myanmar become deforestation. That's
Thank you, Mr. Sonthara.
mhm.
Let me, I'm trying to find pictures. From what we're seeing, there's a lot of youth, a lot of students basically out there protesting. Um, this is the dad getting the daughter ready to go to protest.
Did you see the a lot of people, lying down on the railway?
Yes, I saw them today, but I don't have a picture of that. Let me see. Yes, so a lot of youth is protesting, coming out of protest, but it's not just youth, it's everybody. But since we are the topic of youth, I would like to ask the next questions. Why should youth around the world care about what's happening in Myanmar? We talking about it right now. Why should we be talking about the situation in Myanmar? Somebody, would you like to start?
So basically, I believe youth around the world should care on the current situation of Myanmar, because I believe every human being deserve some kind of basic right. And this coup is basically an attack on the democracy, because the previous government that lead by Aung San Suu Kyi is rightfully elected by millions of people, and you just can't dissolve the party and throw a coup on the legal government like that. And I believe a small daily acts of courage, by getting out of one comfort zone and helping other people that is in need, is very special, because in our society it isn't natural to go out of one way to help another person. That is why I believe if we are blessed by receiving a genuine democracy, why not help other people in other country, in Cambodia, Thailand, Myanmar, those people that are in need? Why not helping them? Because they deserve the basic human right too. And also, I believe Aung San Suu Kyi also taught us a very important lesson. She taught us by being fearless and courageous, um, because when having no fear isn't what make a person strong. If you have no fear but you don't have any actions, that is useless. But preserving that fear and fighting that fear is what make a person strong, like what Aung San Suu Kyi do to the government, and want to have Myanmar to experience a genuine democracy. So that is why I believe youth around the world should consider this as an important topic to think of.
Thank you, Sammady. Bossiba, can I let you help? Why you are so young? You live here. You born here. Why should the youth, like you are 16 years old? Why should the youth care about what happened half the world away?
Well, I think the situation in Myanmar can also be applied to many other situations regarding injustice around the world. And it's important because my generation, we are the future leaders of the world, and we need to be aware and also
I cannot hear you.
oh, okay. So back to what I was saying, I think the current situation in Myanmar can also be applied to many situations regarding injustice around the whole entire world. And with my generation, we're the future leaders of the world. So it's important to also not just care about what's happening around us, but also internationally. And yeah.
Thank you so much for that answer. Mr. Sonthara, why should the youth care about what happened half the world away? Why should we care about what happened in Myanmar? We live in the United States.
Unless the youth need to to work together with their other people, I mean the other youth, to create kind of a strong solidarity. And you know, and plus, like in Cambodia, all the young people, I mean the young generation, they want to have democracy in Cambodia. That's why you see in like in Phnom Penh, CNRP wins a lot of election, and some area with with kind of a place of education, the CNRP win that part. And so we the Cambodian youth need to work with the other youth like Burma, like Myanmar, that have the same situation like Cambodia too, to to like to work together to get like the democracy, or to restore the democracy in Cambodia and Myanmar too. Unless the youth are strong enough to do that, so democracy not coming easily.
Thank you, Mr. Santara. Let me see, the international community reactions to the coup as follow. The UK and the EU and the Australia are among that are condemned the military takeover. UN Secretary also a serious blow to democratic reforms in Myanmar. And also President Joe Biden also he signed an executive order to basically impose sanctions to those that connected to the coup. So far, all talk, everybody is condemned, everybody is not happy about that. But at the same time, it's been 16 days and there's no actions from any of the international community. So, and also, it's very tough to watch. The basically the community, the international community keep saying, they condemn, but they're not doing anything. And also, like Mr. Santara said, and also like Sammady said, democracy is being attacked. That's the reason why the youth and everybody is going out on the street and demanding that to return, basically denouncing the military coup, and they want that democracy back. As a next question, democracy is being attacked. Can one of our guests, or maybe we can start with Mr. Santara, how does democracy being attacked in these situations?
Um, since both countries like Cambodia and Myanmar, they want to come back to the dictatorship. That's why dictatorship doesn't like democracy at all. So all they do, they cut down kind of the media, and they hate demonstration in the country. They hate the human rights. All these kind of attack to the democracy. Yeah.
So all these signs, it's actually it's for democracy. Listen to their voice.
And
And
yeah.
she said it. She said we voted. So basically, they voted for Aung San Suu Kyi. Now the military take over. So all the signs is listen to their voice.
Mm-hmm. and
And release
and
her.
plus the dictatorship doesn't listen doesn't listen to the people's voice at all. And under dictatorship, like Dr. King said, injustice somewhere is a threat to justice and everywhere. That mean, you see, this is see the picture of uh, Dun the lady, Cambodian lady, she's in jail right now. See the picture, I cannot hold my tear, coming down at all. The lady, she looks so beautiful. Just get in jail for a few months. She look like an old lady, bald head. I don't know why it become like that.
Yes, this is the reason why everybody on the street right now, everybody is protesting right now, because that's the only way to get their voice heard, and that's the only way to clearly show that they are really against the military coup, and that's the only way, because if they don't do it, who will do it for them? For the last 16 days, the international community have not done anything besides condemning, and have not done anything besides issuing statements. So Myanmar walked the street, everyone is walking the street and showing the world that listen to our voice, listen, we voted for Aung San Suu Kyi, her party, and we do not voted for the military. So that's why they are out there. Even look, the pregnant woman, stop burning our baby futures. That's it. That's right. They don't want dictatorship. And the parent is supporting the students, supporting the student to go protesting. Just this alone, listen to our voices. That's democracy. Listen to our vote, that who we voted for. Let me have Bossiba. Can you help us? Explain to us why democracy is being attacked, and that's the reason why the Myanmar is on the street right now.
So I've noticed, like, around the world, there's a trend of democracy being overthrown by the government system because of the government failing to meet the people's basic needs. And in this case, we can use several countries located in Asia, such as Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, India. There's so many places, not just in Asia, but around the world, that aren't where the citizens' needs aren't being met completely, or just even basic freedom of speech. They don't even get that.
Thank you, Bossiba. Sammady, can you help us? Why is the democracy being attacked? And basically, it's actually Myanmar protesting. It should be everywhere. That's democracy being attacked. That's also in Cambodia as well.
Well, I believe democracy being attacked, like such as Thailand, Cambodia, and Myanmar, is because within a system of Myanmar military and the Hun Sen regime, those dictatorships denies the existence of basic human right, and fear tend to be the orders of everyday life: fear of imprisonment, fear of torture, fear of death, fear of losing friend, family, property, or means of livelihood, fear of poverty, fear of isolation, and fear of failure. So those are the attack on democracy. Democracy isn't just politics. Democracy means when a country receive a genuine democracy, everyone is deserve to have a better living. That means basic human rights are being fulfilled. So the attack on democracy is like taking away your everyday life. That is why basically more than half of the country in Myanmar stand up against the dictator government that overthrow Aung San Suu Kyi government. So I believe this is an attack on democracy.
Thank you, Sammady. Um, since we're talking about democracy, let us go to the next questions. How can youth around the world get involved and promote democracy? Um, let's start with Mr. Sonthara. How can how can youth around the world help to promote democracy or get involved to promote democracy?
To promote democracies around the world. Plus, we need to work with the other people around the world too. So not stand alone by yourself. So you gotta start from your friend, so start from your yourself, friend, family, and the nation, and then to the world. So when you when you have a cooperation with the other country that have the same interest, we can promote that democracy in the world. If not, it doesn't work at all.
Thank you, Lok Santara. Bossiba, the youth in Myanmar is really protesting out there on the street. How can we or how can youth around the world um, get involved to promote democracy?
Muted. Oh, okay. So going back to what Mr. Mr. Sonthara, yeah, going back to what he said, we need to show up for not just ourselves, but we also need to start educating ourselves today and start educating the people around us in our community, and then we can all unite as a whole nation. And I also think that empathy can also play a big part when it comes to situations like these, because it doesn't cost us any money. It doesn't cost a penny to just show up for each other and show that we care for each other. And also, I think that we need to acknowledge in America that we have our own basic rights, and many other people out there, internationally, they don't have their own basic right. They have to fight for it constantly, and they always have to live in fear or be paranoid. And I think that having the basic rights in America is a huge privilege, and we shouldn't take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I do agree, and I also, as I read earlier, the reason the it's like for over 50 years, from 1962 to 2011, the military was controlling Myanmar. So for them to going back to 50 more years of basically military under military control, it's not something that they want to be. Since 2000, I mean, since the last 5 years, Aung San Suu Kyi, under her leadership, people understand what the true democracy is, and that's the reason why they are actually out on the street right now. And all the time, you can see they don't want to go back they don't want to be going back the next 50 years because they've been through it from 1962 to 2011. That's almost 50 years, basically 49, 50 years. And it's something that I truly feel, because that's what we are going through right now with the Hun Sen regime. It's over 40 years and it's under one leadership. And this is the reason why we are talking about military. No, we can call it military coup, and we can call under, because they do have under military leadership, and the same thing with the Hun Sen regime. We under the military leadership for over 40 years, and the country does not change. So that's the reason why we're talking about that right now.
And as far as I know, any country that have a short history of democracy is very, very vulnerable. That that's you know in my own view.
Yes.
Like a Thailand, you know, even those the 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 force control the country, but not severe like Cambodian at all. See, you try to compare both countries. Thailand have a long history of democracy, and Cambodia have a short history of democracy. When they go back to the dictatorship, the situation in both countries is totally different. Thailand is a way better than Cambodia. That's why, a lot of people coming from Cambodia to Thailand, to find a job over there.
Yeah, because our government is lack of the um, economic plan to help Cambodian, basically the poor, find job. Um, let me I don't think I touch base on why she was arrested, and let me read a little bit, um, so that way you can see how bogus and how ridiculous it is. Since February 1st, the country elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been detained along with her party. She is being charged with illegally owning communication equipment called walkie-talkie. Military official used the charge to detain her. So basically, she is being detained for using illegal communications. So does not matter what you've been charged. You've been charged of using illegal equipment, or you've been charged. Or I guess I'm not sure why they don't charge her just for her to breathe against. I mean, charge her for breathing. I don't know why it's had to be walkie-talkie. That's basically under a military regime, under military control. Does not matter what you do, it still be wrong. And that's what the conversation right now is. Under dictatorship, any dictatorships, you just stand there and basically take a deep breath, and that's against the law.
That's not a good evidence. Unless, in the whole country, no one using cell phone at all. So they can do that. But since everyone have a cell phone, they don't need to use a walkie-talkie at all. They use a phone, can contact to the outside world.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's why it's a ridiculous.
So I'm comparing to the charge in Cambodia and also the charge in in Myanmar. It's bogus. It's basically the regime, any dictator regime will charge you. Basically, just stand there and breathe. So it doesn't matter what charge, what they throw, what you do. It's still against the law, no matter what. Just stand up and breathe. That's also against the law. So let me read a statement. Let me ending by reading a statement from Joe Biden. He said in a written statement this week, in a democracy, force should never seek to overrule the will of the people to attempt to erase the outcome of the credible elections. Over 80% of people voting for Aung San Suu Kyi party, and that party is coming into questions about the validity of that vote. So that's the reason why the president issuing that statement. We all here today, we stand in solidarity with people of Myanmar in their journey to true democracy, their right to elect their own president. We call on the Myanmar military to respect the law and to release Aung San Suu Kyi. So today we stand with the people of Myanmar.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, we are at the end of our show. I would like to thank all my guests. Thank you, Mr. Sonthara. Thank you, Bossiba. Thank you, Sammady, for being here today. It was a really good conversations about basically democracy. I'm trying to show the audience that basically the end of the day is under a dictatorship. You will be brought to jail just standing and breathing. You can see in Cambodia, you can see in Myanmar that they charge Aung San Suu Kyi for having a walkie-talkie. So the next they're gonna charge her for just standing still, I guess. So and the same thing in Cambodia, under the Hun Sen regime, you will be charged, you will be arrested for whatever they say that you do wrong. So it doesn't matter what, standing and breathing, it's going to be another charge as well someday, unless we the people, the Cambodian inside the country, stand up. And the time to stand up might not be now, but will be later. It will be a time that we need to stand up. And it's like Myanmar, we need to stand up and we need to show that dictatorship, we are not approve of dictatorship. Does our guest have any last word to say before we end the show today?
Yeah, let me try to give some suggestion to our people, not to Myanmar. You see, you better we Cambodian people better take a look deeply into Myanmar. See the picture they show the people come every part from Myanmar. That's called participation. So that all kind of participation to make a solidarity stronger to fight for democracy. Like the last few months, the factory worker, they try to complain about their the last salary and the owner didn't pay them, so they stand by themselves. How can your voice be heard? See, that's why. Look at Myanmar, the pregnant lady, the student, the soldier, some soldier, some police. See, they stand together. That's why they can protect their own country. But our people look like not strong enough yet. So you better look at the good sample of Myanmar people.
Thank you, Mr. Sonthara. It will be our time. It will be Cambodian. Because nobody willing to live under dictatorship. It's not now, but it will be later. And I'm really sending like my thought to the Myanmar people that they are standing up under the dictatorship, under military coup, but at the same time, for Cambodia, it will be a time when we have to stand up. It might not be now, it might not be today, but sooner or later we have to stand up and we have to show the regime that this is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you, our guests, for being here today. Thank you so much. It was a great conversation. Let me see. See you next Tuesday. Thank you for joining us for our show today. Our show is Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. We have a really great conversation today, also comparing Myanmar to Cambodia. And also thanks to my guests, three of my guests, Bossiba, Sammady, and Mr. Sonthara, that expressed their feeling also to show basically their opinion of what's going on right now. Before I end the show, I would like your support ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. It is a petitions at change.org. I will replay the video by Her Excellency Mo Sakur. please help to support our petitions. We are looking for at least 500,000 signatures. So far, we only have under 58,000. So please support our petitions, ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. Thank you and see you next Tuesday.
តើយុត្តិធម៌ឬនីតិរដ្ឋភាព
Between 1975 and 1979, the green rice fields of Cambodia became the killing fields of Cambodia. Over 2 million lives were lost, including the lives of my own parents and many of my relatives. The Khmer Rouge wanted a society that is equal according to them. We still live and we are haunted with the legacy of the Khmer Rouge, which is the culture of impunity that continues to exist in Cambodia today. It is for this reason that we have started a campaign, worldwide campaign, a campaign to end impunity in Cambodia by seeking justice for cases, for the executions, for the killings that are organized, that are backed by the state. Among those cases of state-backed killings are the killings of Chivichir, the very famous trade union leader, Milika, a ballet dancer, of Kemley, an independent analyst, of Chutvuti, a well-known environmentalist, of Venerable Sonthara, who was advocating for the monks to have the right to vote, including workers who demanded fair wages. The campaign will also advocate for governments that are members of the United Nations to put pressure on the government of Cambodia to conduct independent investigations by using universal tools such as the UN Protocol for Independent Investigation. The campaign will also advocate for governments that believe and want to protect universal human rights to impose sanctions on the leaders of the government of Cambodia who are implicated in these state-backed extrajudicial killings. We ask you to be with us, to support us, to be part of a campaign to end the culture of impunity in Cambodia and to find justice for those who have been waiting for justice for their loved ones killed by the state. There cannot be real peace unless there is justice. There cannot be justice unless there is independent investigation. And then take those cases to an independent justice system. Join us by signing on this petition. Thank you.
យើងរួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា